Hi all, welcome back to the channel. Excuse the absolute storm in the background. It's been fine all day, but of course as soon as I get the camera out it's blowing a gust, so hopefully it doesn't come through on the camera. My name's Eddie, I'm coming from Wheelie Tropicals, and today I'm going to show you how to bring the lush tropical vibes to your UK garden without breaking the bank. So what does that mean in real? If I was starting again, what plants would I choose? Essentially I want to encourage more people to trying a tropical jungle or exotic garden without the fear of having to spend an absolute fortune to get there. So without further waffle, I'll get at it. So just before I get into the plants, which will involve me awkwardly standing next to the plant and filming myself while I'm waffling, surrounded by my neighbours, essentially what makes a lush tropical garden, I think in my opinion, and this is kind of one that's, I would say, was up for auction, you can kind of have your own interpretation on that, but for me, how you achieve that is with big dramatic leaves, bold textures and a green vibe that lasts all year round. So things perfectly positioned behind me, like the Musa Badu is a great example of that. It kind of gives that look of when you've been on holiday and seen these fantastic plants, and the fact that we can grow them in the UK I think is absolutely fantastic. There's a difference between like the exotic style garden, which is just growing things that are kind of not traditionally found in your area, versus the jungle, which is where you're kind of wading through your garden. So it's kind of depends on your definition of those words. But today I'm going to show you some plants that if I was just starting another border or starting this garden again, what ones would I start with? Of course, there is a billion to choose from, so people's opinion on this will differ greatly, I am sure, whether or not you want a full hardy kind of garden, low maintenance, whether you want loads of flowers, pollinators. There's just so many different angles that you can do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be bringing more of these. I'm going to do ones that are good for pollinators and good for shade areas, different things to kind of really help you kind of get going. And what we want to do is encourage the community, because there isn't enough of us doing this tropical style gardens, I don't think. So we want to get people in at a really good entry level, just to show you that anything's actually possible. So the very first plant I'm going to stood next to very awkwardly is the Fatsia Japonica. I'll show you some footage of me kind of going over the leaves as I'm waffling on through this video, just to show you really how fantastic this plant is. This plant, if I can go a couple of years back, probably talking about 3 years back, I remember I put it in the ground and it was this little tiny thing that I bought from B&M. I think there were like 3 of them for £6.50 or something like that, something ridiculous. And thankfully I put it in where I did. Underneath there, I'll try and show you as like an overlay. It's got loads and loads of different like trunks, for like one of a better phrase, like little growth points coming from the ground. It's probably about 5 or 6 in there that I could split into decent plants. For the size of it now, we're talking probably about 8 foot tall, and it covers the entire width of that border. That border is 6 foot, 5-6 foot kind of deep. But what it's done is, I've mentioned in my very last video, the fence has gone. So when I'm sitting in my patio area looking in this direction, I don't see the fence. And my garden, when I'm scooched down as well, makes it feel like it could be going on for absolutely miles. So the very first one that I would definitely get on anyone's list. It's great for shaded areas, but also I have one that's in full sun and it's absolutely fine. So these aren't just shade plants. My other Fatsia gets absolutely baked all day. Following on from that one, which is perfectly positioned for this video, is the Trachycarpus Fortunei. This is an absolute staple in anybody's garden, I think. You can get them, and I will overlay one on here of one that I've got for about 2-3 foot tall, and that was in sale in Homebase towards the end of the year, or B&Q, it was one or the other. And I remember I got it for something like £12.50, and it was about 2 foot tall. This one I did buy from like I think it was like the Big Plant Company or Big Palm Centre or something along those lines. I can't remember, it's a couple of years ago now. However, the one at the back, which I think is probably the second best one in the garden, was bought from B&M for £150. And I know you may very well say, well, that doesn't sound very budget friendly, but I'm just saying that there's 2 opposite ends of the scale. If you want something immediate, 6 foot tall, I'd spend 150, compared to some well-known palm retailers. They can be, you know, £400, £500, £600, £700 plus on there. I know everyone's got a different opinion, so I'm not being political on this video about which one's the better one. I've never had a problem with the root systems on the B&M ones, so I can only speak for myself. And I'm sure the ones that are grown at a proper tropical garden centre are probably a better quality plant than that. But I'm just saying, for the money, £150, I don't think you can beat that plant. Like I said, I've had no issues with it whatsoever. You can, as in quite a lot of the tropical channels now, they're advising to actually plant them small, let the roots get out, and then they'll soon shoot up anyway. For the first year, they'll pretty much stand there, and then the second year they'll start running all the roots and stuff out, and the third year onwards they just fly anyway. So if you wanted to save yourself best part of over £100, You could easily get these. I've seen them in Asda, Tesco's, just random places, petrol stations. I've seen palm trees at. It's like just one of those things you get the right time of year. And I've seen them down for like £6.50, £8, things like that. And there's plenty of people that comment on these videos that I've been to B&M and got those plants for that particular price as well. So realistically, if you wanted to put both of those plants in, you could do those for less than £30 really, I would say, to get a nice little Tracky 1 or 2 foot tall and a Fatsia, and you can create an area like that. I'll show when I first planted it as well, because like I say, it is actually, I would say, quite a sensational size upon those as well. Right, now this one is going to be the absolute star, I would say. This is the Musa Badu, which is absolutely huge, absolutely towering above me. I'll put a photo of what it came out of winter like this year. But this plant again was, I think it was £8.50 from B&M. Bought it because it was wilting, didn't even know what it was, but I couldn't leave it at the store with how dry it was. It was completely limp. Every single leaf on this was brown, curled and dropped, and I cut them all back. And now look at it, it's an absolute beast. It's the one plant that I would say anybody that visits the garden will immediately comment to say, what's that? I've sold over 100 of them this year from my greenhouse. Obviously a shameless plug, but obviously I run a tropical sales business. But back to this one, from China, bone hardy. These ones, you don't have to cover them, and they will shoot back from the ground every year. So you may be able to see at the bottom, but there's one that's about maybe 12 inches, like something like a foot, something like that. And they will pop around the base if the main plant dies. What I will do with that one is I'll cut it on an angle, put a rotary line cover over the top of that, and wrap it in some fleece, and it retains that size. So now where the people that didn't protect that, for example, might very well be around about 6 to 8 foot tall, that one's got to be 10 or 12 foot tall. It's hard to tell from down here, but there's nothing better than this when you're in a garden in Birmingham. So I thought I'd show you that one as well for less than a tenner. The other one, which I'm not going to stand in front of, I almost lie on the floor, is the Musa Giganteus, and the coloration on that is absolutely gorgeous. Both of these stay out in a winter all year round, so I treat those as being equally hardy because they both survive in exactly the same garden. So there's one to put on your radar as well if you want a bit of colour. As they mature as well, the underside can get like a purple kind of ready colour as well. So I've got down on the floor for this one. I'm 40 years old now, so I may very well not get back up with my joints, but I'm getting down here for the dedication for yourself, so don't forget to subscribe. If you find me in the next video still down here, you know I didn't get back up. This is the Euphorbia John Phillips. This thing, the leaves on it are gorgeous. It's sized up probably 8 times this year alone. The foliage is fantastic, and the scent of the flowers on it was intense. The entire garden was filled with like a kind of like a honey scent. You could walk anywhere within this garden and smell that. The pollinators have absolutely gone wild for it. It's easy to take propagations from, so you can cut those and kind of propagate those to get more for the garden. Just make sure with this one that you put it in an appropriate area, unlike this, because these do size up really, really quickly. But what I like about it is the fact that it's evergreen, so it will look like that through winter. The mistake I made in the first one, this is like a top tip, is I bought too many tender plants, so I had to dig up almost the entire garden from October onwards and all of that. Then when I came outside, it looked like somebody had stolen half of the garden because all of it was wrapped up or in the greenhouse. So try and get as many of these hardy things as possible, because when you come out in the winter, I still want it to look like a tropical garden. So I don't think you can beat Euphorbia John Phillips or any of the Euphorbias really. There's so many different ones to name, from mine as Merlot, which is like a beautiful colour on it, which is a lot smaller, compact one, again to some absolutely outrageous ones that I've seen online. And I'm now going to go into, so once you've got those things, and I've always called it like the kind of flamingo effect, where you've got palm trees that are really up tall, banana plants that are really up tall, and then when you look down at the floor, all you can see is like the earth or the bark or whatever you've put down. So don't forget the ground cover. I think the ground cover is absolutely essential, and I'm just going to quickly run through some ground cover plants now, and I'll show you the difference between the two, and hopefully this will help you as well create that tropical vibe. And as soon as I unlocked the ground cover, that's where I went from feeling like I was pretending to have a tropical exotic garden to actually having one. It was the difference of kind of ground cover just for me personally, but let me know what you think in the comments. So this is a prime example here. You've got the palm tree, but then underneath it I've got Persicaria. I've also, to the left of that, got Mahonia. I don't know which one that is. I've bought 3 of them. It might be Volcano. But But the difference between that one, where it's all planted up all nice, versus if you can see ones that's got like bits of bare soil in front of it, the vibe is completely different. I'll show you another example down here where I've underplanted everything, and you can see from there there's no ground in sight, so that looks really lush over there. Again, Fatsia, that's in full sun, looking absolutely sensational. Another one is Fatsia Polycarpa. If you wanted to chuck that in, it looks, the leaves on it are fantastic. But that kind of gives you a bit of a backdrop there. It's got the Trachycarpus in it, it's got the ground cover in it on the bottom, it's got the Fatsia in it, and then I don't think you can beat bamboo, which, as I showed you in the previous video, which is, as you've watched, is covering my dumping ground, which I don't like showing people, but we've all got a dumping ground, I'm sure, and a shed that's full of things that I don't know. If somebody stole them today, I wouldn't be able to tell the police what was actually stolen, so that needs to get tidied out. But you can see there, when you sat away from that in your seating area, how that's completely eaten that area. One of the last two ones is this one, the Phormium Tenax. That one's the variegated one, so it has got the coloration on the leaves, but the flower spike goes probably 14 foot tall. It's absolutely covered in bees and wasps, as I can see now up by where the seeds are emerging, or might even be hoverflies. But that is evergreen. It'll look like that all year, and it takes over probably 4 foot, 5 foot in each direction. So for the price of that, I think that was about £20–30 maybe when I bought that. The size of that has been absolutely incredible. Another hardy one as well, so if you put that in the ground with the others, you'll notice so far, other than the Persicaria, which I've just mentioned, and the Badu that needs wrapping, but it's still such a sensational plant, it's going in the list anyway. Most of this will stay as it is. I'm going to go on to the final plant now, is to try and help you get rid of the fences as well. So the very final plant is this one, which is the Miscanthus. This is the Giganteus, the cross. Probably say that's about 8 foot tall now. Got plenty of canes down at the bottom. But as you can see, it creates a nice little motion when it's swaying in the wind as well. So I kind of like the movement that you get from those grasses. And it also, again, eats just that little strip of the fence on there. Put that in with the border at the back there, and you wouldn't have that gap that I've got currently. So that would be, again, another perfect example. That one was a bit more, that one was on a bit more on the pricey side. It was probably about £20 or £30 per plant for that one. But it comes back every single year. When they're dying back, they go like a brown colour, and they still look sensational through winter and through autumn anyway. Then I cut them back in the new year, and again, they'll flush, and I think it's magnificent to watch those grow every single year. Of course, what I've missed out from this list are things, really obvious things like Cannas, which I'll overlay on the video. There's like dahlias, there's so many different things, crocosmia, there's so many different plants that you could choose from on there. But I was just saying, if I was going to start a garden today and I had £100 in my pocket, those are what I'd be going for. So I'd spend probably 20 quid on that, 20 quid on a palm tree, probably about 10 quid to get 3 Fatsias. The banana was about a tenner. So I ain't Carol Vorderman and added all that up. I'll probably try and put some reasonable thing on there, but I think for about £100 to £150, you can start yourself a really nice tropical section in your garden, and that's something that you're proud of. As I've said in previous videos, what I would do is I wouldn't put one plant in one border, one plant in another. I would put all of the money to making one area look absolutely fantastic and be something that I'm proud of. Then once I get my next set of money or a bonus from work or whatever it's going to be, sell something to kind of raise some more money, I would start another area. But I would only do that once I had a good chunk to put in that area to save it looking sparse from day one. But hopefully what the whole point of this video and the waffle was about was trying to inspire people to get more into tropical gardening. It's a fantastic thing, and there's nothing more than I love than sitting in my garden a sunny day underneath a pergola, just looking at what I've created here. I am a web designer, so I don't know everything about these plants. I've just been fortunate with a lot of things, fluky with an awful lot of things, but I've just been passionate and not scared to make mistakes, dig things up and relocate them. It's not a I don't know, it's not an ego trip for me to do those things. If I can see something struggling, I will move that. Hopefully I've inspired people to just give it a go, and the fact that it isn't actually as expensive as what people may think. Like I say, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to bring an awful lot more of these videos about the bigger leaves, things that I've got like behind. And I'm also going to do a garden tour, and for July I'm hoping it's going to be one of the best ones for the year. So I've got Cannas in flower behind, I've got a massive gunnera behind you as well, so I'll overlay some of those images, probably as I've been waffling anyway, to cover some of the sound of my voice. But if you like what you heard, please subscribe. And if you've got any comments and things that you would have included within this list, bearing in mind there's a billion to choose from, and this was just on a 20-minute lunch break, please let me know.